Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. And with that, the first month of college football is in the books. And guys, it went exactly as you would expect. Week 4 of college football was once again, in other words, ridiculous. It was insane. It was unpredictable. It was filled with upsets. It was filled with near upsets, wild endings, wild plays. I mean, everything you want for college football, we had it in week 4. And it concludes, again, what was a wild start to the season, a wild first month to the season. And we're here, guys, just to break down all of the biggest moments and the biggest games from week 4. But before we get into that, first, please continue to like, comment, subscribe. Again, welcome back here to the Gridiron Expert, where we bring you college football news, predictions, and analysis year-round. This is the place for you if you love college football. So make sure to subscribe. Check out everything down in the description below because, again, guys, we have so many big-time offers there, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country. You might be asking yourself, how good? I mean, come on, how good? How good? Well, first off, our money line picks, 35-9 this week, so hitting nearly 80%, 79.5% this week, 178-35 on the year. We're going to hit 200 wins by the end of week 5. How about that? Over 200 wins. We're hitting 83.6% of our money line bets. And our spread predictions, another 6-4 week here at the Gridiron Expert, brings our total to 27-16 on the year, 62.8% in 2022. 62.8% of our bets. So you do not want to miss out on those numbers and those winnings, guys. If you want to win, if you want guaranteed winners, if you want some of the best spread picks in the country, go to thegridironexpert.com, sign up for those today, and become a part of our GE Nation. So let's dive into the analysis, guys. Again, what a wild week 4 it really was. I mean, 6 top 25 teams went down. Yes, a handful of those were in ranked versus ranked matchups, but 6 top 25 teams losing. One of those came in the early morning as number 21, Wake Forest, nearly upset number 5, Clemson. Talk about a great start to the day. 11 a.m. kickoff, and Clemson survives the Demon Deacons 51-45 in double overtime. And to me, guys, this game was kind of poetic. It was very poetic in a way. You know, around this time last year, last week of September, Clemson lost a 2-overtime thriller to North Carolina State, and that game ultimately ended Clemson's season. It was their second loss of the year. Now, about the same time, Clemson wins a double overtime thriller against arguably their second or third biggest test in the ACC Atlantic in Wake Forest. We've always been saying it's a 3-team race between the Tigers, Demon Deacons, and the Wolfpack. Clemson survived Wake Forest on the road by 6 in double overtime, and we got to give a lot of credit to DJ Uiagalelei. You know, he's been under so much heat, you know, including from us. He's been wildly inconsistent. He's been, sporadic. He hasn't been able to deliver. Well, he delivered on Saturday. DJ Uiagalelei, 371 passing yards and 5 passing touchdowns. That is the quarterback play we expected to see from him at Clemson. That is the DJ Uiagalelei we saw back in 2020 when he lit up Notre Dame and lit up Boston College. This is the guy we expected to see. Clemson, 559 yards of offense against the Demon Deacons, faced a lot of adversity, trailed by 7 points entering the fourth quarter, overcame Sam Hartman, 6 touchdowns on the day, and won that double overtime thriller to remain a top 5 team, to keep their ACC title and college football playoff hopes alive, although they're going to face another tough test on Saturday, next Saturday, week 5, when they host North Carolina State. So how fitting they play both those teams back-to-back. But what a game in Winston-Salem, and what a way to kick off week 4. Moving on to Ames, we have it in our thumbnail. Baylor survived Iowa State 31-24. Why is that game there? A lot of people pegged this to be an upset game. You know, a lot of people thought Iowa State would win this game at home over the Bears. But we picked the Bears to win this game. Picked them to win the game straight up and cover the spread. We should add one of those wins on our expert picks. Baylor, guys, they never trailed in this game. Never trailed in the game. They were leading 31-14 in the fourth quarter. And Blake Shapen, a guy similar to DJ Uiagalelei, who had kind of been getting criticized in the last few weeks, lit up the Cyclones defense, guys, for 238 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Baylor defense held the Cyclones to just 66 rushing yards on the day. They forced 2 turnovers, got their first win at Iowa State since 2016. So a huge win for Baylor in terms of keeping their playoff hopes and college football and Big 12 title hopes alive. both staying alive with their win over Iowa State. Again, kind of poetic. Baylor keeping them alive against Iowa State. Last year when Baylor upset Iowa State in Waco, it ended Iowa State's season in terms of Big 12 title hopes and playoff hopes as well. So Baylor, again, keeping them alive with a win over the Cyclones. We mentioned the year 2016. That was the last time that Baylor beat Iowa State in Ames. 2016 was also the last time that Tennessee beat Florida, and that streak came to an end on Saturday as well. What a win for the Volunteers, guys. The 11th ranked team in the country that are going to catapult into the top 10 this week. Beat Florida 38-33 without their top wide receiver in Cedric Tillman. Let's keep that in mind. We knew Tennessee's offense was electric, but they beat Florida without their top wide receiver, and we're beating Florida 38-21 in the fourth quarter without him. Florida, though, nearly came back and won that game. They scored a touchdown with 17 seconds left, recovered the onside kick, down 38-33, had a chance to win it. Anthony Richardson's last chance was picked off, fell way short of the goal line. Tennessee escaped, snapping their 5-game losing streak to the Gators. But credit to both quarterbacks, guys. I mean, if you love offense, if you love quarterback play, this was the game for you, right? Anthony Richardson finally showed his capability as a passer. 453 passing yards, and finally throwing his first passing touchdown. Had 2 passing touchdowns on the day to go with 2 rushing touchdowns. But again, over 450 passing yards from Anthony Richardson. Hendon Hooker, without Tillman, had 349 passing yards. Also had 112 rushing yards on the day as well. So over 450 total yards for Hendon Hooker. It was just a great quarterback battle between Richardson and Hooker. But Tennessee ultimately at home in Knoxville, College game day in attendance, getting their win over Florida for the first time since 2016, snapping the streak, catapulting into the top 10, and making themselves known as arguably the biggest threat to Georgia in the SEC East. And yes, we know Kentucky's there, but they only won by 8 over Northern Illinois, so let's pump the brakes just a little bit. How about 2 minor upsets, minor games we want to talk about here, but we're not going to touch on them long. Texas Tech upsetting number 22 Texas 37-34 in overtime. Guys, the Red Raiders, they were trailing by 14 in the second half, down double digits, but the Red Raiders came back, kicked the game-winning field goal we thought with 21 seconds left, allowed the Longhorns to get in position to tie the game. They did, went to overtime, but John Robinson, who never fumbles the ball, fumbled in overtime. The Red Raiders kicked the game-winning field goal. Huge win for Joey McGuire and his squad. And then how about Middle Tennessee going into Miami, the 25th ranked team in the country, beating the Hurricanes 45-31. Wasn't even close. You know, upsets like that, typically they come down to the wire. That one was nowhere near it. The Blue Raiders. We have the Texas Tech Red Raiders and the Blue Raiders of Middle Tennessee State having a pick 6 and 3 touchdowns of at least 69 yards. So a pick 6 and 3 touchdowns of at least 69 yards, including a 98-yard bomb to start the fourth quarter. Upset Mario Cristobal and the Hurricanes, had 405 passing yards on the day, 507 yards of offense, forced 3 Miami turnovers. The Hurricanes, guys, reeling a little bit after that loss to Texas A&M. Definitely going to follow the top 25. Bad look for Mario Cristobal in his first year with Miami. But a huge win for Middle Tennessee. What a day for the Blue Raiders. Again, phenomenal defensive performance, electric offensive performance, relying on those big plays to pull up a massive upset. We move on to another ranked versus ranked matchup, guys. How about Arkansas and Texas A&M? Number 10 Arkansas beat themselves, losing 23-21 to number 23 Texas A&M. And look, give credit where it's due. The Aggies won this game, and they won it fair and square, and it was a big win for Jimbo Fisher and his squad. Again, a squad that was kind of reeling following that loss to Appalachian State 2 weeks ago. But if Arkansas and A&M were to play this game 10 times, I would put my money on Arkansas winning at least 8 of them. The Razorbacks simply beat themselves, and here's how. The Razorbacks were leading 14-0 after the first quarter. They were lighting it up. A&M looked rattled. They had no answer for the Hogs, offensively or defensively. And the Razorbacks, guys, they had a chance to go up 21-7 near the end of the first half. And then KJ Jefferson thought he was Superman. KJ Jefferson thought he could leap 9 feet vertically through the air over an entire defensive line and score a touchdown. 3 yards out, he tried to jump for the end zone. Texas A&M forced the fumble, jarred the ball loose. Lateraled it back, handed it off, if you should say. Returned that fumble 82 yards. And just like that, instead of Arkansas going up 14 and probably carrying that double-digit lead into the second half, it was a 14-13 game entering the second half. That play ruined Arkansas. After that, the demeanor of Arkansas changed. The morale, the momentum, the confidence, it ended for Arkansas. And a play that was certainly avoidable. All they had to do was hand it off to one of their trio of running backs. All they had to do was have KJ Jefferson run forward and not jump. And Arkansas, at the least, gets a field goal out of that drive, probably gets a touchdown, and I can guarantee you A&M would not have scored a touchdown in the final 2 minutes or whatever the first half. It wouldn't have happened. But Arkansas, they did battle back. They were down 23-14, scored a touchdown in the fourth quarter. Had a chance. A&M missed a long field goal. Arkansas got inside the Texas A&M 20, and that's where, again, they beat themselves. They had 2nd and 5 from the Texas A&M 16-yard line with a little under 3 minutes left. A bad snap that nearly was recovered by Texas A&M put Arkansas back at 3rd and 14 from the A&M 25. KJ picked up about 4 yards. Cam Little, who's usually money from a field goal perspective, missed it, hit the tip of the upright. Drifting to the right, hit the top part of the upright, bounced down. There was no time left, only a minute and a half, and Arkansas only had one timeout. A&M escaped with a 23-21 victory. Arkansas simply, guys, beat themselves. From KJ's ridiculous Superman leap to the Cam Little missed field goal to the bad snap to really the poor play calling from Kendall Briles. If you watched that game, guys, it was really piss-poor play calling from Kendall Briles that ultimately cost Arkansas that game. Arkansas outgained the Aggies 415-343, the third straight game that Texas A&M has been outgained in yardage, losing to App State, getting past Miami, now getting past Arkansas. Again, the Aggies certainly worthy and deserving of winning this game, but if they were to play it again, if they were to play it 10 times, Arkansas wins the majority of them. The Razorbacks simply could not get the breaks to go their way. The Aggies finally benefiting from some. They'll be ranked above Arkansas in the AP poll, and Arkansas, guys, I believe, really their season is about over for the Hogs. Many will say that is jumping to conclusions. It's a overreaction. But you look at Arkansas' schedule. Alabama at Mississippi State with that poor secondary that Arkansas has, and then a road game at BYU. Very feasible and possible that Arkansas could lose their next 3 games. And this is a very hard game to bounce back from if you're Arkansas. A very, very tough, hard game to bounce back from. The demeanor of the Razorbacks, you watch them on the sideline over the course of that really second half, and obviously when the game was over, they were down, they were beaten up, they were depressed, they were, where's the confidence and the morale of this team that had a chance to start 4-0 in consecutive years for the first time since 1988? Now they fell short of that. They know the road ahead is going to be very difficult, and you can't help but wonder, will the Hogs be able to bounce back and get back on track? Right now, certainly not looking that way. Credit to A&M. Bad loss for Arkansas, who simply beat themselves. Easily should have won that game by double digits. Last 2. Big 12. Another huge upset. Number 6, Oklahoma falls again to Kansas State. This is the beauty of college football, guys. Last week, Kansas State lost to Tulane. Kansas State lost to Tulane last week. Adrian Martinez has been doing nothing for the Wildcats. Absolutely nothing. And now the Wildcats have defeated Oklahoma 3 of the last 4 years. And Adrian Martinez and the Wildcats lit up this Brent Venables defense. Martinez, 234 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Hadn't done that all year. Not against South Dakota, not against Missouri, not against Tulane, but against Oklahoma, a top 10 team on the road with the best defensive mind in college football as their head coach, throws for 234 yards and rushes for 148 yards and 4 touchdowns. Unbelievable performance from Kansas State, who had 275 rushing yards on the day. The Sooners had no answer for this Wildcats offense. 41-34 victory for Kansas State, guys. The Sooners, they didn't have an answer. Never led in this game at home, top 10. Never led in this game against Kansas State. Simply did not have an answer for Martinez and his dual threat ability. Martinez really turning in one of the best passing days of his career. And what a day to have it in Norman, ruining the Big 12 opener for Oklahoma. Unbelievable. Talk about curses, talk about ending streaks. Oklahoma, so for some reason, has this really bad Kansas State curse. Cannot get over that hump, losing again 3 of the last 4 to the Wildcats. And then finally, credit to USC, the Trojans, 7th-ranked team in the country, taking down Oregon State 17-14. The Trojans, guys, trailed 14-10 with under 5 minutes left, but Caleb Williams, transfer from Oklahoma, hit Jordan Addison, the transfer from wide receiver from Pittsburgh, with under 2 minutes left, a minute 13 left, on a 21-yard touchdown to put the Trojans up for good. The defense, guys, came through clutch, shutting down the Oregon State rushing attack. Chance Nolan, 4 interceptions on the day, so the USC secondary really coming through clutch. And you ask yourself, how did they only win 17-14 with only 4 interceptions, or forcing 4 interceptions? Shouldn't they have won by more? Probably so. Credit to Oregon State for keeping them level. But those 4 interceptions, guys, turned into 10 points for USC, and one of those interceptions was the game-sealing pick with 35 seconds left around the Oregon State 46-yard line. That's where they were snapping the ball. So, huge win for USC, really getting over their first true test on the road against a good Oregon State team in Corvallis. Lincoln Riley and the Trojans, guys, very well could be for real. Many people have been skeptical, but proving they're worthy of that top 10 ranking for some. Big win on the road, solid defensive performance, and Caleb Williams delivering in the clutch like he did many times last year at Oklahoma. So, guys, there you have it. I mean, that was a lot to take in, right? But we saw 6 ranked teams go down. We saw 2 of them come down in the top 10. Arkansas and Oklahoma both losing in the top 10. 6 total teams, though, overall. A wild first month of college football. If you like that, get ready for the encore, because October's when it gets really crazy. October is when we're getting to the bulk of conference play. We're going to see upset after upset after upset, more ranked versus ranked matchups, which is even more content for you right here at the Gridiron Expert. So, guys, as always, again, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert. We're so glad you could join us and get this college football recap as we get ready for Week 5. Already moving on to Week 5. But as always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and, of course, check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Again, links down in the description. Hitting over 62% of our bets this year, over 84% on the money line. You do not want to miss out on those bets. Go sign up for those today. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.